Good morning. Recording some aftermath thoughts as we wrapped up our fight weekend, and I want to really just talk about the Boots and Via. And I see the chatter, I see everything going out there. I'm going to say some stuff that's going to piss some people off because they're not really fans, and that's sad because I saw so much. And it's just all right. Obviously, Boots Ennis got the win. Took in 10 rounds, but he got the win. Via was there. He fought as hard as he effing could. Via was throwing as much as he could, and he was there and did not ever give up. He was trying as hard as he could. So I think the flaw that some people are they're going off of a certain narrative, and it's cool if they want to do that, but I want to call out a couple things here. First of all, I think game plan played a little bit of a factor here. So Via has a style and it works for him. And it seemed like Via he was purposely trying to kind of hold the line to see if he could go all the way. And that might have worked, except that Boots goes in the trench and he's basically fighting in the trench, and he's effective fighting in the trench. Boots showed a significant improvement from what he was doing before in terms of game plan. So improvement was there. Clearly there. He's much better, much more controlled, I'll say is the best way to describe it. I didn't see any situation where he was, widely looping punches like he had done against Chikazian. But here's what I did see. When they were in together, Boots has a high guard, but his high guard left him wide open for uppercuts. Via never exposed that. I saw it pretty much the entire final sequence of the fight. He was wide open for Boots, was wide open for uppercuts. So you got to look at the fighters, right? Certain types of fighters and the way that they throw and what they throw and when they throw. Via had thrown some uppercuts early. He abandoned the uppercut completely, and I don't know why. Perhaps because of all the punches coming at him, because Boots upped the work rate as the fight went on. He upped the work rate, and it seemed like Via just abandoned the uppercut completely because he didn't think, either just because he couldn't focus, couldn't think, or something. He completely abandoned it because he landed it early, but it seemed like he abandoned it. If I picture then somebody else in there against Boots Ennis in what I just saw, the sequence I saw with Via, you're not going to have that same sequence against the Blair Cobbs. Blair Cobbs is not going to go and just stand there. He's not. You can't go off of the Rocha fight as a measure because with Rocha, Blair Cobbs didn't expect Rocha to fight like that. So that's not going to happen there. With Cody Crowley, he might get drawn in at times. I don't think he'll stay in. And if he does, I think he would actually use the uppercut. And then we have to see what happens and how Boots deals with it. With Stanionis, I think Stanionis or Crowley is a good fight next for Boots, personally. Because I think we still need to see him measured against somebody who can box and move. Via had a good showing of himself for what he could do. So all kudos to him. I'm still a big fan of his because he almost took Boots the distance when most on NSB said he was going to get taken out in 6 rounds and totally dismissed the dude. No, Via was there and almost took the guy the distance. Credit to him for that, even though it was pretty much a wash on the cards. He was there, he was trying, he was fighting as hard as he could. But I want to see somebody like Cody Crowley, somebody like Stanionis, somebody like Blair Cobbs, one of these ones that can move. And if I'm looking at the 3 and I had to choose one, I'm wondering like Crowley. Crowley's the one that for me, I want to see how that goes. But then everybody online, it's not just Ennis, it's all over the place. No, he beat Spence. We're back to this whole, he smashes Spence, he smashes Crawford. Listen, because of what I just said, he left himself wide to F open for uppercuts. It was clear. He left himself wide to F open. I'm telling you right now, the Boots that I saw in this exchange, he does not easily deal with Terrence Crawford. And people know I've been critical of Crawford for the asterisk wins. He doesn't easily deal with Crawford, not with the style I saw, because if Crawford's in that exchange, Boots is fast, Boots is strong. But Crawford has enough dog in him that I don't know that Boots would be able to handle what's coming back at him. See, that's key. Via didn't have enough to come back at him. Crawford's gonna have enough to come back at him. So I don't know that I don't flawlessly see that Crawford's gonna go down like Via did. I don't know that Boots easily deals with that. I think that Boots has a rough night if he fights like that. And if he boxes smart, he has a chance. This is why I said that I saw Boots Crawford as 50-50, because Boots would have to box Crawford. He's not going to go in there and slug. He'd have to box Crawford. So if he boxes Crawford, it changes the game, because Crawford has to figure out and adjust a way to get in there. And if he gets inside, we saw Crawford can go in trench and do what he needs to do. I still, even now, especially now, I see Boots Crawford 50-50. You look at Errol Spence. Errol Spence seems to excel in the trench, and Errol Spence is not afraid to throw an uppercut when he needs to, but Errol Spence is also a lot more precise. Errol Spence is not going to allow the bombs to hit him like we saw here. You people go back and say, well, Spence Porter was a different situation. Porter's shots largely were not affecting Errol Spence. Errol's going to test the power. Errol starts slow. He's going to test the power. Boots would box smart, just like he did in round 1 against Villa. Spence is going to test the power, and eventually, as the rounds get later, he's preserving himself as rounds go. When Boots starts to engage, Spence is going to be countering. Spence is going to be doing check shots. Spence is eventually going to ramp up the work rate, and then you're going to see a war with Boots and Spence, and I still see Spence coming out on top. Not because of power specifically, but because of precision. Like, it's with Boots, if he lands on you, and you're the kind of person who's going to allow him to flush land, yes, I see he can cause some damage. So he's going to land on Errol Spence. I don't see that he takes Spence out. I see that Spence is easily going to be able to deal with him because of how Spence deals with trench fire. He seems like he's able to adapt much better than any other fighter I've ever seen, and he's got dog in him for sure. I have Spence beating him. I think Crawford is a 50-50. But that's only based on stylistically what we saw and the improvements that we saw in the fight here, and we did see improvements in his game here for sure. I need to see a different fight style to see if he's improved some of the other flaws that are still there. His chin is still available, folks. I want to see that resolved. If you resolve that, he can be that guy, but he's got to resolve that. He can't have his chin available against the elite of the division. He's got to get that solved. Right now, chin is still available to be hit for the right guy. So I want to see him against somebody who's a brilliant boxer, and I would put Stanionis in that category. I'd put Crowley somewhere close, but I'd certainly put Stanionis in that category. I want to see somebody who's a brilliant boxer, somebody who can move, who's not afraid to move, but who also can throw, hit, and land. I want to see somebody who's got an effective uppercut on him. I want to see somebody who knows how to pump a jab. And right now, of the class I described, you're pretty much talking Errol Spence, maybe Keef Thurman. But Keef Thurman, let's put Keef Thurman in this mix, right? Keef Thurman's older. I think he's 35, if he hasn't yet turned 35, I think. I know he's older. So if you take Keef and you toss him in here, how does Keef deal with it? Keef, in my opinion, has a decently solid chin. People look at the Pacquiao fight and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Pacquiao landed a shot on Keef because Keef was going backwards like a dumbass when he wasn't supposed to, because he thought Pacquiao had the quote T-Rex arms. That's why Keef got dropped. It wasn't because of power. It was because he was going backwards. When you go backwards, balance is harder to maintain. He should never have gone backwards against Manny Pacquiao. He likely wouldn't have got dropped, and the fight still went close. I think Keef is a good test for Boots. I don't think it's going to ever happen, but I think that'd be a really good test for Boots for two reasons. One, we'll get to see with Keef if he can, because he knows how to move, but he doesn't use it heavily. He only uses it against Josecito when he got hurt. He used it a little bit against Pacquiao, but he doesn't excessively move. He moves when he's hurt. So if Boots hurts him and Keef goes on the move, we get to see what happens. We know Keef's soft to the body, so we got to see if Boots has a good body attack. That's why I want to see the fight, because we haven't seen Boots' body game to a significant degree yet. Oh, that's a beautiful fight. I don't think it'll ever happen, but that'd be a beautiful fight. Is Keef, Stanionis, I think it'd be a good test. Crowley, I think it'd be a good test. I want to see another step with somebody who can box and move, because we need to make sure that he's resolved some of these other gaps that I still see for people that are moving. When people don't move, yes, he looks amazing, but he still has certain flaws. So Villa has power. It's not that he doesn't. It's not that he couldn't. It's that strategy-wise, it seemed like he shifted game plan and went away from something that might have been more effective for him. I don't know why. I don't know if that's mentally on purpose or what happened there. I'm going to give Boots his credit. He has shown improvement overall stylistically. There was improvement seen. It was obvious. It was clear. I still see some of these flaws, specifically with the head. I'd like to see that solved because he was wide open for the uppercuts. It's that Villa just, for whatever reason, did not exploit it. And maybe he's smart not to. I don't know. Maybe he'd have got clipped or something. I don't know. I'm saying that I see Boots is wide open for that uppercut, and I don't like to see that. And I want to see him tested against somebody who can and will exploit that and take it for what it is. Meanwhile, kudos to Boots Ennis for a great performance. Let's see where he goes next. I really want online to calm down, though, about Spence and Crawford, because I think there's levels to it. I think Spence and Crawford are both on a different level. And until the two of them fight each other, we don't know what the true levels are yet. I think once we solve Spence and Crawford, it's a 2-fight deal. Once we really solve Spence and Crawford and understand what the true levels are, then we can start talking about what's next. But, you're talking, I'm guessing, probably 2024 before you see any chatter about Spencer Crawford fighting any of these guys other than themselves. So meanwhile, let's do the smart thing. Let's talk about who Boots should fight next, which again, you got a whole roster on deck. Ortiz is toast, in my opinion. But, Cody Crowley's on deck. He's a good potential. Stanionis is on deck. He's a good potential. I argue Blair Cobbs is still a good potential. You got some guys out there that are good potentials. Or fight a guy that's coming off a loss. Fight Rashidi Ellis. They talked about doing it. Get in there and do it. Rashidi Ellis would be a hell of a fight because Rashidi Ellis, he's not afraid to move. I don't know about his power, but he's not afraid to move. He's accurate, very skillful. I'd like to see that fight. That's a good one to have. Let's get some of these other guys in the mix and let's continue testing Boots because, again, he can only get better with different varying skill levels and varying fight styles. That's how you're going to get the guy better. So keep him busy, keep him in the ring, keep him going so that he can learn and move and do these things. And then hopefully we'll get to a point where, okay, now we are ready to face the elite of the division at 147, or perhaps he goes up because some people think he might be outgrowing 147 already. I didn't see that, but maybe it's up to his team. For now, while he's here, let's test the man. Let's get him in there with some other guys. There's some guys on the sidelines, and they would make really good fights and really good tests for Jaron Boots Ennis.